How's it going, guys? My name is Wolfie. You're watching A Slice of Pie on GreaterThanPie, the newsish show that we occasionally do on this channel. And if you haven't been here, the way that this works is the first half of the show is all about tech news, and then the second half of the show is all GreaterThanPie news and updates. And we're actually going to sprinkle in a little bit of virtual Wolfie updates because I actually did something on that channel for once. Point is, we've got a lot to update you guys on, and well, it's already midnight. I'm drinking coffee. So what else can go wrong? Let's get right into it. So let's go ahead and start with GPU stuff because, well, it got interesting, that's for sure. So as you guys may have noticed, I reported on the 4070 possibly coming out with pricing and specs and everything. And then it came out between the point that I recorded the video and I uploaded the video to go live, which is hilarious, but also kind of annoying. I had to kind of cut in and be like, hey, guess what? It actually launched. And my puppy would not let me record. I had to hold her the entire time, which is why she's in the video in the first place. But point is, this might happen again because we're hearing a lot of rumors about the 4060 Ti lately. And, well, we don't have as much concrete stuff as we did with the 4070, but I'm not entirely sure, like, where NVIDIA thinks they're going to go with this one, because, well, the 4070 wasn't really well received. It's still on store shelves. Right now, I can go on newegg.com, type in 4070, and find them plenty in stock. They did not run out at all. Now, normally, you know, that would be a good thing to celebrate, but the launches are always short because it looks better to investors to sell out than it does to have stock. And, well, it didn't sell out. So because it didn't sell out, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good on them. And it's a combination of things. It's a combination of it being too expensive for what you gain. Like, it's about a 3080s performance. And right now you can buy all of AMD's last generation, everything from a 6800 XT to, like, I think it's a 6900 XT. You can buy all of that for close enough to the price of this GPU that it makes it almost irrelevant if you're willing to go outside of Team Green. So the 6800 XT is actually one of the more fascinating things because even I did a video when I reviewed it that was like, is it too late for this? And it turns out, no, this GPU is going to be competitive into the next generation. It's almost like AMD's entire generation outside of the 7900 XTX, and the 7900 XT is just being filled by that 6900, the 6900 XT, the 6800 and the 6800 XT. And that's not a bad thing. Like, that kind of transition, because they lowered the prices to match, those all worked out like really well. Anybody who picked up an 6800 XT after my video is actually enjoying a very powerful GPU that is leapfrogged over the NVIDIA competition. And I think it's outperforming the 3080 Ti now. Linus in his review touched on it, and it was actually really impressive. And Gamers Nexus touched on the 6900 XT, which again, the fact that both of those AMD GPUs are competitive enough and between the price points of all of the GPUs out, that's just awesome. And more importantly, there's a bigger discussion to be had about like AMD's GPUs aging well versus NVIDIA's, which often die prematurely. And I think that could be its own video, because I could go on for hours about how many times I've been told X amount of VRAM isn't necessary, and then it ends up being necessary. Like, there's a reason that my 5700 XT is still able to work and play games, and how, currently speaking, my 1080 isn't quite cutting it anymore. So we'll talk about that later, but more importantly, things have been changing, and we could be seeing another GPU from NVIDIA real soon. They may pause to like lower the cost or readjust the cost, because realistically, this generation, we're not buying it. We're not buying it at those prices anymore. And I'm glad. I'm actually very glad that things are changing for that. And hopefully AMD is not going to make the same mistake as NVIDIA did, because they're saying they're going to bring GPUs to market real soon for the mid-range. Now, what I'm assuming they're considering the mid-range is the 7600 XT, the 7700 and the 7700 XT. I don't think the 7800 and 7800 XT will be in this batch, but if they are, it would be kind of cool. That being said, AMD put themselves in a really weird spot with the 7900 XT, because the 7900 XTX is just so much extra compared to that, and the 7900 XT is like the 4070 Ti, I think. It's below the 4080, if I'm not mistaken. It's a weird spot because normally the way you compare the two is literally to just take the number digit, like the 8 and the 9, and then you compare them. But AMD's is skewed a little bit this generation. I am curious to see where it ends up. I'm curious to see what the prices look like. Mid-range GPUs are always great because they're not quite as expensive as the Halo products, and more often than not, they look better. I really hope, though, that AMD is actually going to be competitive with the current GPUs they have and their past lineup, because if I'm looking at a 7800 XT, for example, and it's just barely better than a 6800 XT, I'm going to be disappointed too. So no matter what, we have to wait and see, but I'm hoping that with this promise of new GPUs, and more than likely next month, we'll see those new GPUs, I'm hoping for the best. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is something that I wish existed when I first started. So those of you who don't know, I actually started this channel based on Let's Plays. That's why a lot of my gear is based around gaming in general. And I pivoted over to tech is it like 3-4 years ago now? And created my own separate gaming channel, Virtual Wolfie Gaming, in the last year because of, I still love it. But the point is, Rode has presented a solution that, honestly, I'm surprised it took so long. The Rode Streamer X is a capture card and an XLR input device all in one, which I know any of you who are actually like into this thing, into like using, good microphones like this one, or good video inputs, or playing games, like the fact that you can have an all-in-one solution for all of it is just mind-boggling, and it's awesome. And for those of you who aren't exactly initiated into the space, think about having a single box that allows you to sound like this and then put gameplay on the screen captured from an external source, such as an Xbox, a PlayStation, or a Nintendo Switch. That's how I record Switch gameplays, through capture cards, except mine run through a computer. I have a separate, very expensive box that runs this microphone. So the fact that it can be combined into one for a relatively decent price is just awesome. Speaking of gaming, have we gotten too far? Unrecord had a lot of press around it for an interesting reason. People thought it was too real. They thought it was just normal footage being presented as a video game. And while yes, it looked like that at first, the more I watched it, the more I was like, oh no, this is a video game. There were a couple things, the way that people moved, it was another one. Like the animations of the movements definitely felt very video gamey. Certain assets that were done were not done using the same projection mapping method that they used to get the entire environment. Things like there was a cargo crate that they got real close onto, and I was like, oh, I can almost see the modelers work there, because there's a lot that cannot be captured in a video game that can be captured on film, like the unevenness of, say, a cargo container, which surprisingly has a lot of imperfections. Things like that you could pick up on, but not everybody's trained to do so. And the combination of using the idea of it being a body cam piece of footage, it makes the game look pretty interesting. And I've already wishlisted it on Steam because I gotta see it to believe it, and I gotta see if my hardware can even run it, right? But Unreal Engine 5 is interesting. It can do all sorts of things like this with new lighting engines and new rendering methods that are just absolutely impressive. And I'm not shocked that Unrecord tricked a bunch of people. I mean, it had me going at first too, like, this is just, footage. But after a couple of times watching the trailer, I was able to pick out the pieces. And I saw the no clip trailer and I was like, okay, that's really, really cool. So if it's not on your radar, or if you thought it was a hoax, you can actually wishlist it on Steam. And I mean, don't buy it when it first comes out. Wait until the reviews come in to see if it really is just, pixel block graphics with zombies from the Unity asset store. I mean, it has to come out eventually, right? And wishlisting it doesn't do anything other than tell people you want to see it. Der Bauer continues to impress me with how far he's willing to go to bring the temperatures of your PC down. So for those of you who don't know, Der Bauer had a hand in the 011 series of cases from Lian Li, which is like the most popular water cooling case for like the longest time. And he's doing it again, this time with a direct die cooler for the AM5 CPUs, which requires you to delid the CPU, attach this cooler specifically, but it is a water cooler. And yeah, I'm sure it's going to perform absolutely impressively because direct die cooling itself is already better than, well, none. And having a specialized water cooler just for that, it's going to be awesome. So I'm looking forward to seeing, Jay's 2 cents, Linus's video about it, because I don't have the kind of money where I can, potentially destroy a new Ryzen CPU. I don't have those resources, guys. And actually, speaking of processors and ruining processors, AMD's most recent X3D processors are literally frying the sockets. There have been fixes already applied through BIOS updates, and you may want to look into your motherboard if you have one of these processors to see if you've got a BIOS update that is stable that will be able to fix it. Now, I have heard that they rush these things out, and some of the BIOSes that they put out weren't exactly stable, so be careful with it, guys. It seems to be something to do with the Expo profiles, so pushing your Expo profiles might be what's causing it. Either way, it's one of those things where it seems to be one processor in particular, the most recent X3D processor that I was intending to use in a build that I may or may not use now. But point is, there is definitely a problem. And if your motherboard does have a BIOS update and you are running this processor, maybe update it. You may not want to fry the motherboard and the processor because both of those are going to be expensive. We have an update on the ROG Ally. So a couple of different prices have kind of like bounced around. The one that I've seen a lot is $599, which, if true, I will buy it. If this thing is under $1,000, like if this thing's around $600, maybe even $700, I will buy it. I will do a video on it. I will actually do it. I don't think it's going to be, but if it is, I will walk to Best Buy. I will physically walk. I won't even drive. I will walk to Best Buy. I will record myself walking to Best Buy and I will buy it. Well, actually, I'll probably put it in for like an online pickup type thing, but still, I will walk to the store and get it. If that's true. I highly doubt that. I really don't think that they're going to hit that kind of price point, but if they do, I mean, it'd be worth a funny video. So I will put my money where my mouth is. If it comes out at that price point, I will make a video of me walking to the store to buy it after putting it on hold to pick it up, because if I just walk to the store, there's a good chance they won't have it, and then the video would be funnier, but I plan a little bit better than that. We got a weird one up next. Roblox. Roblox is a game that I remember distinctly having ads alongside other games that I was playing on the internet, basic Flash games, and there would be Flash ads for Roblox. And I distinctly remember this as something from when I was a kid. And I'm not wrong, it was around, and it's super weird that it is now one of the most popular games on the internet. So much so that Razer's got a bunch of Roblox peripherals. They worked with Fortnite, they worked with Overwatch, and now Roblox. Honestly, it's not the worst game for a bunch of kids to be playing. It's just weird because it is also a social game. It's one of those ones where it's got like detailed chats and stuff. And much like kids in VR chat, which we talked about last time, probably isn't moderated well enough. But that being said, so is Minecraft. I mean, how many kids hopped on Minecraft servers and did schoolyard orphan RPs in the creative servers? You know what? Actually, Razer did announce something kind of cool. So the Razer Black Shark V2 Pros, those are coming out. And the Black Shark series has a special place in my heart. And it's mainly because when I started this channel, going back to that, the headset mic that I used was actually the Black Shark mic. It was one of the best headset mics on the market. And it looks like they're trying to do it again. Like the big selling point of the new Black Shark V2 Pros is actually the mic, which awesome. If that is true, Razer, awesome. I've actually heard some really good like portable microphones as of late. The Valve Index, like I've been working on the review. That microphone is good enough that I just use it all the time. And honestly, like there's room for good headset mics. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like there are all that many of them. Now, this next one brings me great joy because I said it was going to happen. I said it over a year ago that this was going to finally happen, and it's happening. Hot swap keyboards are starting to come out from Corsair and Logitech. I'm really excited about the Logitech one because Logitech is technically bigger than Razer, but in the peripheral scene, right? There's really those three are the three big ones. And then you get your outside ones like Asus, which actually beat them to market with a hot swappable keyboard and was why we talked about it in the first place. So the fact that we are getting a Logitech and a Corsair keyboard that have hot swap is awesome. Hot swap keyboards just need to be a thing. And I really cannot wait for either them to do a Black Widow with hot swap or with, hear me out, Razer, you make a higher end keyboard line, a premium line, right? Your highest end keyboards you've ever made. And you call it something, let's see, A-Trax. You could call it the A-Trax. And that is an obscure spider. It's venomous, found in Australia, and it's big. So there you go. You call it the Razer A-Trax. Comes in TKL, comes in mini, comes in full size, all hot swappable. Make it a whole metal case with foam in it and maybe even a gasket mount. Boom. Yeah. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, the fact that Logitech and Corsair already have it. Yeah, both really cool. The Logitech Pro X, I probably will get this one in-house soon to try, and the K70 Pro. So both of them really cool, would allow you to lube your own switches, put in your own switches, and just make the keyboard a lot better. EK has finally made a version of their new Rads that is all black. Surprisingly, they hadn't done it before. It had a silver accent piece. Now there's just a blackout version. They also made a whiteout version of a couple of other water blocks and distro blocks, which is actually really cool since some of those are going to be in white cases and sometimes you just want all black. All these things are just, they're just great little upgrades. Thank you, EK. And to wrap up our tech news, we've got some interesting Noctua news. So they took their NHD15 and they shrunk it a little bit to create the NHD12L. Now, this new CPU cooler actually is designed to fit in places that the NHD15 won't, but also be a dual tower, so it has a very similar amount of performance. This is actually really cool because the more I look into small form factor builds, the more I realize that a real benchmark is how many of them can actually fit an NHD15 in them. And the answer is surprisingly a lot of them. Point is though, there are some full-size cases that still can't fit that thing. Not only that, but Linus actually did a video recently talking about AIO versus air cooler performance at a specific price range. And well, let's just say the air coolers are better in most regards, but they don't fit in all situations in all cases. So yeah, it's always been kind of common knowledge, not so common knowledge, that water coolers are more expensive for not as much performance as you would think you could get. At the same time, like, it looks cool. And yes, something like an NHD 15 actually is very quiet. There's a reason I've used it in so many builds. So just having another option, the NHD 12L is a good option. I don't think they have it in Chromax yet, which realistically, once they have that in Chromax, then I will probably get one just so that I have an alternative cooler that works in more cases. But that comes to the end of what we consider the tech news. And now it's time to talk about GreaterThanPie and Virtual Wolfie. So yeah, how's it going, guys? I'm at the bottom of my coffee, actually. It's cold now. So a couple of things are currently going on. I know you guys have seen the video about the NR200P, and I test fitted that with a couple of radiators. Well, let's just say I'm going to take that one further than I thought I was going to, and it's making the video even further out. I'm going to be adding a third radiator because I found a radiator fan combination that is the thickness of just a fan. And I'm going to do it because it's just so ridiculous. It's going to be cool. And then for the actual pump reservoir combo, I decided instead of doing the water block version, if you look at the back at the NR200P, you can actually remove the PCIe brackets from the case without even cutting anything. And then you've got this like big open space that is about 100, no, it's about 90. It's about 90 millimeters wide. And depth wise, it's about like 120 millimeters. So a little bit extra. So you could feasibly, if you wanted to externally mount something like the super slim reservoir pump combo that EK sells, and then run the tubes into the case using probably like a pass-through fitting through the back there. The only problem is, right, I would have to custom make a new backplate. And you've already seen me try that before in the past, or you may not have seen me try that in the past. It's not something I can do easily. It would be something that I could 3D model in like 5 seconds. Like you give me CAD, you give me a 3D printer, boom, I'd get it done in no time. Actually, I'd have to learn CAD first, but point is I could probably figure it out and then I would probably be able to make a functioning part to do it. But I don't have that equipment, not yet. Supposedly, I'm supposed to get some of that equipment soon, but I do not have it. And so therefore, I kind of have to hold off on that just a little tiny bit. Regardless, there will be some case modding, which means I'm going to have to pull out the Dremel. Which means I'm going to have to find a time to pull out the Dremel that not a lot of people are going to be paying attention at my apartment complex. Or when it's like stupidly loud at the pool would probably be a good time to do it. Point is, that project's going to be cool. I'm still working on it, but in the meantime, I'm going to be working on a different, smaller project that I'm going to probably be putting on my desk between this PC becoming the test PC and then me building a separate PC to just be my gaming PC. We're still getting the 7900 XTX, still on track for that. Thank goodness. But once that whole video is wrapped up in this test PC, I want to build a PC to get to the test PC out of this area and into being its own testing platform. So I found a case that honestly is impressive. And I've never heard of this company before, and I'm skeptical, which is going to come out in that video too, that I'm going to be skeptical about it. The price is good. The features are crazy. What it can fit is crazy, and it's still a compact case. Now, it's going to be bigger than the NR200P, but at the same time, it should be able to fit any GPU that you can currently buy. And that's nuts. Personally, I think that's nuts. So, yeah, that's going to be kind of like a quick throw it together kind of build. And it will give me the hardware I need for the NR200P build minus a motherboard. But I mean, if all I need to do is buy a motherboard that's significantly cheaper than having to buy an entire thing again. And then also it will give me time to get the water cooling components, because I hate to say it, the water cooling in that build alone totaled out will cost more than most of the components. Like I think the platform, the motherboard, RAM, and processor combined will be less than the cost of the water cooling components. So yeah, it's a very expensive build, but it's going to be so cool when it's done. And I don't know if it's going to live here on my desk or if it's going to live in the living room next to the TV. Either one's a cool option. But yeah, so there's going to be a stopgap build between it. And the case for that vid is going to come out sooner rather than later. And of course, the 7900 XTX video is going to come out before that, which will be the unboxing and probably the review. And then there's also the Intel Arc video coming. So, oh, there's just so much. And then also desk vlog part 2, part 3. There's one for the RGB lights that are like over here as well. I'm not counting that as the desk vlog because it's its own video. But there will be another desk vlog video where I'm replacing the desktops on both mine and Gamer Guts's. So yeah, that's going to be a fun one. Other than that, Virtual Wolfie, I mentioned that I did a lot on that channel recently. New branding. It's got a new icon and it's got a new background. It's got a new subscribe thing at the bottom. It's an interesting channel for me to work on because when I started doing this, I moved my quality from like down here to like way up here. And I'm still trying to raise that quality. And going back to Let's Plays, it's just like, I hate to say it, but it's like effortless, if that makes sense. Not that like working on the channel is effortless. I mean, like editing for Let's Plays is just so much lighter than editing for something like this channel. I mean, even this show is lightly edited in order to give me a break, but at the same time, like my normal videos it's like 2 days of 2 to 3 hour sessions. So like probably 6 hours in just editing alone, right? And the video itself will take anywhere between 30 to like an hour and a half, 2 hours to record. I sit down and do a 2-hour Let's Play, right? I can probably get it edited in the 2 hours it takes to watch the whole thing. And like the Beat Saber Let's Plays, right? I sit down, play Beat Saber for an hour. And while physically, yes, that's an exhausting experience, I've got like 6 episodes that I take like 30 minutes each to edit down into. And it's just like a different experience than working on something like this. And I think that in many ways, like that's one of the reasons why the Let's Play community was so big. It was because, well, it started with people who had limited time and limited resources. Now the streamer ecosystem, like kind of touching on this, streamers are another breakout hit, very similar to how Let's Plays were, because they can create a constant stream of content with almost no downtime. So where I am still taking, 30 extra minutes per video to upload and edit and make thumbnails, they're recording and posting at the same time. Essentially, they're making their videos as they go. And it's just that 2 hours that they play a game is now just out there on the internet, and then they can delete their VODs if they wanted to, or keep their VODs and edit their VODs if they really wanted to. Almost nobody does, I've noticed, but point is, it's a very different space to be in, and it's been fascinating to work in. That being said, there are 2 new models that I just released for this, which again, that was work. That was actually a lot of work. But I have both Virtual Wolfie version 3 or 4. It now has a more me aesthetic. I've made this model my own, and I'm very happy about it. And then the other one is Evely, who is the character from my Skyrim Let's Play. And I don't remember why, but I decided to just play the character playing the character like on episode 2, I think it was. And it was so funny in my head. Like I put in work to do this. And now because it's been going on like that, I just created the character, like made a more detailed version of the character. Heck, the most recent Let's Play that I recorded of that character, I had a moment where I looked at the character in game and the character I created, and I literally made the anime version of a Skyrim character, specifically the one that I was playing. And that's a modded version too. Like it's crazy. And I was like, the only thing that was wrong was that I don't have the outfit from the game on the character, but at the same time, like Skyrim's outfits are kind of crap. it's just interesting. So the main update is that I've made these new characters. I've updated the branding on the channel. There's more content coming to the channel. But then as, I guess, kind of like insight to how that whole thing runs, it's just different. I mean, if I put the same level of effort that I do into these videos into that video, it wouldn't feel right. It would feel over edited for a Let's Play. And it's just an interesting perspective that is just, the best way to put it is it's just fascinating to me. Like, I know for a fact that I'm going to pick up Tears of the Kingdom in a week, right? For you guys, it's going to be less than a week. Am I going to stream it because that's all I'll have time to do? Or am I going to record it and post it and then come out late? Like, these are questions I'm now asking on this channel, and I could stream it and it would be probably just as good, but you know, I don't stream. I'm really bad at streaming, or well, at least I haven't tried to stream that much. I don't have graphics for streaming. I don't have anything for streaming. I don't know what I'm doing with streaming. So I have a stream deck and I don't know how to stream. So I guess the point is, there is no point, but no, it's interesting. And Virtual Wolfie, if you're not subscribed and you're into that kind of content, it's VR gaming. It's got a Skyrim Let's Play. We're about to play Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. God, we're about to play Tears of the Kingdom. We're probably going to be doing a VR chat world review series soon. I kind of like played around with that idea recently. So there's stuff coming out. And if you're interested in that kind of thing, I would love to see you there. And then I guess really the last thing that I'm going to touch on is Radeon Voice. I have a video in the works for it, but it's been trickier testing it than I thought. So this mic setup that you're listening to has minimal noise canceling through OBS, and it's an XLR microphone, so it's already pretty good. And this type of microphone doesn't pick up room noise very easily. You're going to have maybe impedance noise and stuff like that. Point is, this mic is very, very good. And when I plugged it into the PC that can use the Radeon noise suppression, it didn't make a difference. It wasn't better. It wasn't worse. It just wasn't better. And the funny thing is, I have to use the 6800 XT to do it. I can't do it on the 5700 XT. So it's weird. Am I going to make a video where I'm like, yeah, it's cool, but it's not much better than this thing? Or am I going to do a video where I purposely use a mic that's not as good? I mean, I could take these are the Razer Krakens, or even I have some Black Sharks as well. Maybe that's an idea. Maybe I take the Black Shark and I see how close I can get to this mic. That would be a good idea. Maybe it would be a good idea. Point is, it's a much more challenging video than I thought it would be. I like to test these things in a way that makes sense. And right now it doesn't make sense for my setup, but it might make sense for yours, which is why I'm not writing it off. Because yeah, not everybody has this $100 microphone with like a $500 audio mixer setup. So yeah, it's just it's a different kind of video, different thing that I'm working on. Of course, we still have the review for the Valve Index coming out. It should be coming soon. I'm contemplating how I'm going to record that one though. Just some insight into my thought process there. I feel like I should record that one inside the index the entire time. Like, I feel like the best way to record that one would be like, hey, this is my setup. This is how we do it. This is why we do it. And now here's my character to take over for you. And then from there, do the entire thing from inside the headset. Like, find a good backdrop, just kind of like read off my points. I don't know. I feel like that could be a good idea. I'm not entirely sure though. You know how these things are. It's difficult to be it's difficult to demonstrate a product if you're just standing in front of a camera, I feel like. So yeah, I could just as easily have a video like Linus or Jay or Gamers Nexus, or I could do something different and unique and make it completely out there, like be like in VR talking about VR. I don't know. Do I want to go weird or do I want to go normal? It's something I've been playing with. That being said, the script is still like half baked and not really ready to go. And if I do it from VR, I'm not gonna be able to see the script. Like right now, I can see my notes for Slice of Pie, and it's nice to do. If I'm in VR, I'm flying blind. Like I will actually be blind. So yeah, that video's coming. I've also got one on like RGB lights that are really cool coming out too. And then also there's a couple of like ranty type things that I'm working on that much like the AMD GPU thing. So yeah, if you're not subscribed, seriously get subscribed. And you know what? I will see you in the next video. I appreciate you coming and listening, watching, however you did this, because you can actually watch this in podcast form and not even use the video bitrate at all. So yeah, if you didn't know you could do that, now you know. But that is where we're going to end it today, guys. And I will see you in the next one. Wolfie, out.